What's a moment or memory you'll never forget?
I'll never forget when I went to this place in Union, Missouri called Piccadilly Kart Racing.
When I was in Ocracoke, I forget how old I was. I think I was maybe 4 or 5, between that age.
I don't know about a specific moment, but probably just spending time with my family on the way down there, and then at Disney, getting to experience all those things with my family is really memorable to me.
The very first time I drove.
I mean, there's so many moments and memories, but one that I will never be able to forget, I don't think, is my cross-country state championship that I won with my team.
You know, I think about this a lot, and I've given it my top memory, I think, of so far in actually my life. I've listed it as the top 5 is my best friend's wedding day, actually.
There are a lot of them, but I think that the one that comes to mind immediately is the moment that I was at Hohensalzburg Fortress, which is in Salzburg, Austria.
I was on a farm in South Carolina, and I was about 10. And my granddad, this is my granddad's friends, we borrowed their 1981 Ford F-150. It was beige, and we drove sort of around the farm.
She just got married in October, so last October, and she also asked me to be the maid of honor. So that was kind of a very beyond moment and a very exciting moment, I think, for anyone with a best friend.
I was on tour with the musical Grease for a year, touring Europe. And one of our cities that we went to was Salzburg, and I had never been. But I grew up watching The Sound of Music, which was my favorite movie. And that movie takes place in Salzburg. And so when I got to Salzburg on tour, it was pretty magical. But when I went to the fortress and stood on top, it's one of the oldest fortresses, and the fortress that's in the best condition in all of Europe. And when you get up there, you can see the Swiss Alps, and you can see all of Salzburg, like a 360-degree view. And it was, it felt like being in what heaven must feel like.
What made it so special or memorable?
I had a prior love of cars, and I'd always been dreaming about driving. I'd never driven up until that point, only a golf cart, and it felt very special because of the car that we were doing it in, that truck. I remember riding in that truck a lot as a littler kid, and so it has some nostalgia to it.
It's too many things. Well, first of all, the go-karts were electric, so they had instant torque, and of course it's a recent innovation. And of course the track had two stories essentially. Tight curves. You would either suffer whiplash or you could drift like you're from Tokyo or something.
Well, like I said, I was on tour, which was a really exciting thing to be, a young person touring Europe in a big musical. And so a lot of that time was really special and unique in terms of the experiences that I had. But this in particular, aside from the Sound of Music connection that I felt when I was there, I would imagine like the Von Trapps just sort of like walking along the fortress and singing Do Re Mi. And it made me really happy.
Yeah, I think seeing, there's nothing like seeing your best friend on one of their happiest days of their lives, especially, and seeing like the community of people. I'm originally from California, so Indiana and California, they're quite far apart. They're across the whole country, so it's very it's not often that I get to see them, but not to mention it's just like reminding me how much of a community we've built and how much of a friendship we've built, still being that distance apart and being able to go home and cherish that little moment and that memory with them, and spread the love and the joy and the support that they were getting from their families and friends, and just having everyone together on that one day, I think was was the biggest taker for myself?
Well, I've been to Disney before this, but it was my little sister's first trip, so it's really exciting to see her reactions to all the stuff. And then we had to cancel our trip in 2020 because of COVID, so then we got to go back after it getting canceled, and it was really nice.
Right on.
Also, there were like there was like these array of LEDs around the course, so it gave it a cool rainbow effect. And also, like I said, it was lots of adrenaline.
I think, well, mainly because since I was so young, I get to reminisce about it a lot. Because, well, I remember the sunset and how pretty it was. But yeah, it felt, it was very fun.
What do you remember as being so visually striking about this place beside the sunset? Besides the sunset.
Well, I guess the fact that there's a ring toss. I loved playing ring toss when I was younger, and I still do. And there's also, since it's like a beachy area, the house was on stilts and it was very wooden. I remember that.
It was the culmination of basically 7 guys who had worked all year, starting pretty much in June and ending. This meet was in October, and it was every day putting in the miles, putting in the work, and seeing it pay off and winning that state championship, which we all knew we could, but we hadn't seen it happen yet. But we were so happy when it did.
And the reason why that memory is really important to me is because later in life, when I was going through psychotherapy, I was urged to think of a place that I'd been in my life that felt safe, and a place that I could let my mind go to whenever things were dark or hard. And that's my place.
Also, just like the preparation for, as a maid of honor, you're anticipated to give a speech, and so that anticipation from there, just like, you know, that worry of like, what if I say something like, what if it doesn't work out well, or what if I don't say the perfect thing, that and like that, those nerves kind of like go a little higher and higher the moment that you're getting to reception. And the moment that you're standing, it just all like wipes away, and it washes away, and all of a sudden you're just like spilling, kind of like a special moment between, you know, yourself, and your best friend. So,
Is there one moment that you realized that you had won it and that you were really excited about, or something like that?
So the best part is we didn't know we won till the awards ceremony, because it was very close. I think it was like 4-point difference or something between us and second place. So we were sitting in this awards banquet, and they keep rattling off the teams. This team in third, this team in second, and we're like, wait, our name hasn't been called, and they just called second place. So then it really clicked in. We just won the state championship. So then going out there, collecting the trophy as a team, distributing the ribbons, that was the moment. I think that really, for me, will always live in memory. Me and my friend, we jump up off the ground and just start, I pick him up and we start spinning and hugging. We're so excited because we had been working for 4 years to get this, and we just did.
How do you think you would feel if you went and revisited it today?
Oh gosh, if I were to go back today, I think it would be pretty emotional for me, because it's been such a core part of how I've managed my mental health in my adult life, that particular memory. So I have a feeling it would feel overwhelming in the most beautiful kind of way.
Well, I guess maybe I'd try some, maybe I'd have the urge to try some new things out. They have double carts that they can fit 2 people. I can't really recall if they have like 2 steering wheels or not. I think that they must have only 1 steering wheel. If they had 2 steering wheels, that would be a nightmare.
So do you get to see your best friend very often? Because you said she lived in California.
Yeah. So I would say it's like once a year. Yeah, once a year. So because she's in California, she's also working in her grad school and now moving to like PhD. So she's kind of been held up in California for quite some time, always so busy. And once you're in college, you don't really have the funds to make a lot of travel. So I think it's always been around the holidays, which a lot of the holidays are often spent towards, family. So it really hasn't been like a huge amount, but we call all the time, we text all the time. But I think seeing face to face, like once I'm able to graduate and move back there, it'd be like probably very exciting.
Why do you think you weren't able to do it before, but then you were able to do it then?
I think a lot of it was we wanted it that day. Especially me, I really wanted it that day. So there was a moment where there were 3 of my teammates. We're all about the same pace. But one of them I know is a little bit faster than me. I slapped him on the back and I said, go. Because I was fading. He still had some energy left. There was about, 1,000 meters left in the race. And he passed 5 guys, which was the difference for our team. And I think that was a big moment because we all wanted it that day.
Imagine yourself when you're 40, 25 years from now, 2050. What do you think cars will look like? And do you think we'll still be using gasoline?
I think I don't think that cars being like produced brand new from the factory will be using gas anymore. I've looked this up quite a bit, what cars would look like, and there's no real idea what they'll look like. I imagine they'll all have very big screens. They'll all be able to drive you if you don't want to drive. They'll probably have very big angular headlights and that kind of stuff. Tech forward.
So what would you do if you have an old car and you can't find gasoline anymore?
I know that there are ways to convert older cars to run off of electricity. Obviously, I wouldn't want to do that. I'd try to avoid doing that as long as I can. But, if I had to, I feel like I could still find a way to do that relatively easily. And with technology advancing, it will only get easier to do that, I imagine.
Did that memory change you in any way?
I think it did because it gave me a lot of more confidence in my ability as a runner and confidence in my team that we can do this because all season we had put in the work. We were showing up at meets. We were doing really well, but we hadn't gotten over the hump to that spot, that number 1 spot. So being able to do that was just such a confidence booster that I've been able to use ever since to help motivate me.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I think after that day actually was when I realized it was my regular take between as a someone who's in film, you kind of decide between the 2 big cities, between New York City or LA. And actually that was my deciding factor to kind of move back to LA because I didn't realize actually how much I missed being around the friends I'd grown up with, especially knowing her I've known her for 18 years. So it's near my whole life as a 25-year-old.
Yes, because over the next couple years, I would go out there and practice driving on that truck, and I practiced driving on other cars too, until I eventually got my learner's permit.
Yeah, I love looking back on it. It's one of my favorite trips that we've gone as a family. But I wouldn't say it profoundly changed me in any way, but it definitely left me with some really good family memories that I can keep with me.
Yes, it did.
How so?
Well, it's hard to describe. I mean, not only do I hadn't felt that much adrenaline in ages.
Where I was like, wow, I think this is something I want to be surrounded around. I want to surround like her and all the friends that we'd grown up with and all that family that we had there too. Because, she was kind of partly my second family, which they are all located in California as well, so.
I guess it changed me. Well, I don't know if it changed me. I think it's made me think a lot about what life was like when I was younger a lot. Because now that I'm older, a lot of things have changed from then. So I think about that a lot.
Yes.
And also, I don't know, I decided, I decided this would be a cool place for me to create a commercial. I was thinking of creating a commercial for Piccadilly kart racing.
Well, I think before that, if I were asked to think of a safe place or a place where I felt removed from the troubles of the world, that I might struggle to think of a good place. And so it's sort of gave me, the memory of that gave me peace.
And what is one moment from this trip that when you think back on, your mind just immediately, that image comes into your head? What's that moment look like?
Well, my favorite ride was the Adventure Everest ride. That was really fun.
What made it special?
I don't know. It was one of my little sister's first roller coasters, so it was kind of funny to see her reaction, hanging on to our dad while she goes down the hill and stuff.
So with these kind of really tight relationships that you talk about, how do these relationships like impact you now? How do you hope that to continue these kind of relationships into the future?
Oh yeah, no, what a great question. So, yeah, I want to be able to allow space to be like in a tight knit community again. I think when you're growing up in high school and middle school, all the way in elementary school, from when we know each other, you're so in such close quarters all the time. And sometimes I think, oftentimes when we get into our 20s and our adulthood, even older as we get, it's easy to pull away from how those close quarters and where they were. People have different jobs or live in different communities, different towns, cities, states, countries. So to extend so far, and I think that I love the idea of having a community again. I think that having a form of friends that was your community, that was your foundation growing up, and I think I want to build that back up again, because I think it's a really special moment. You know, you get to spend you spent their whole lives together, and maybe you can spend the rest of your lives with them. What do you think? I'm kind of curious. So, what do you think if that version of yourself were standing on that fortress today, on that kind of like where that was, and then yourself now, your current self? How do you think that interaction would go?
Oh,
you think?
if I were able to go back to that version of me at, I think I was 28 or 29, I would have a lot of things to say to that person. I would tell them all the things to avoid. I would tell them the things to run to. And I think that I would let them know that what they were experiencing in that moment on that fortress, looking out at what looked like the entire world, that everything was going to be okay.